I haven't played most of the Metal Gear franchise by this point, and honestly it's a gap I'd like to fill, so I'll try various games from the series while doing this ranking, starting with the original Metal Gear released on MSX. And overall it's actually really good, I'd even say freaking great, in the first third of the game. Then it kinda gets really shaky. While Metal Gear is not the first stealth game ever, there's at least Castle Wolfenstein, which we don't talk about here. I think it is fair to say that it played a significant role in codifying the genre. But what makes it work is actually that stealth is not the main point. It is more like atmospheric means to travel from location to location. While there are a lot of guards to avoid, the rules are very clear and straightforward. For example, guards can see only in a straight line and don't really have much going for peripheral vision, which might be unrealistic, but at least you're never going to question when they can see you or when they don't. The rules for taking them out by punching are clear, whether guns make sound or not is also binary, depending on whether you have a silencer, how the alarm works, and so on. Overall, there's not that much depth to be found in these stealth systems, they're quite basic, but also it's absolutely fine because Metal Gear is more of an adventure game where the point is to find the correct items to be able to go through obstacles while following either hints or just exploring around. The way you use items is a bit clunky, like different doors are opened by different keycard levels, but those are all separate items, and a level 3 keycard won't open a level 2 door, so at some point whenever you get to a locked door you just start going through all your keycards, and that's annoying. There's also stuff like gas mask taking the slot of other items you have to use, so sometimes you need to quickly take it off and take damage, but also those issues are usually not that egregious. This adventure-y, puzzly aspect makes Snake's infiltration into Outer Heaven quite enjoyable and atmospheric. I even appreciated how there is hints on how to find walls to explode, by punching them and listening if the sound is different, but also the feature is not used all over the place and more localized to specific levels of the compound, so you don't have to punch absolutely every wall ever, and usually there's clear enough indicators that shit looks like you have to blow something up to progress. Usually being the key word here, because Metal Gear with its adventure game approach faces the same issue many adventure games do. Somehow you have to scale the difficulty to increase the challenge. While this game does feature combat, it overall is also pretty basic, which is good because when it's not, like with the unavoidable flying jetpack guards, combat feels like absolute pain. So, like many adventure games, the game tries to increase the challenge by making the puzzles more complex. And oh boy, does that just not work, because at times it feels so artificial. Like to get a rocket launcher, you'll need to receive a frequency for a new contact, Jennifer. However, calling her straight after receiving the frequency doesn't work. No, you have to call her specifically outside of the room you'll get the rocket launcher in. But also, for it to work, you have to become class 4, which means you need to have saved enough hostages, some of which are not on the main path, so if you haven't yet, well, time to explore. Or how to destroy the titular Metal Gear, you need to plant explosives on its legs in a specific order, but the person telling you the order forgets the last one, so you have to guess. And these are just some of the more memorable examples, but trust me, the farther you're into the game, the more confused you're going to be regarding what to do, which honestly is a big contrast to how the game handles progression in the first third, where even missing some specific clues does not necessarily become a blocker. I do want to say though that while the story is very simple and characterization is at best rudimentary, I like how Big Boss is handled, which by this point I guess shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, is actually a traitor who has sent the rookie Snake on a mission in the hopes he would die, so the events could be manipulated accordingly. You really get to feel that something weird is going on when Big Boss, who you usually frequently call for information, starts outright telling you hints that impede your progress. That's a really great touch. So all in all, despite its flaws, Metal Gear was quite an enjoyable experience, and I will place it between The Legend of Zelda and Excitebike. I'll be honest, if the entire game would have been like in its first third, Metal Gear would be a contender for a new number 1 position, but sadly the game becomes increasingly more annoying as you progress. And while the first Zelda honestly is more beatable than Metal Gear without using a guide, there I employed a guide only once, but in Metal Gear at some point I would just frequently get stumped with no idea what to do, I do find the game as a whole more holistic and in many ways more immersive than Zelda or other titles below it, So I feel like all in all this would be a pretty fair placement.